The blended learning course that I plan to create is a grade 4 English language arts online blended learning curriculum centered on my company's current offerings for grade 4. In a previous course, I created a 3-column table and an understanding by design template that centered around this grade 4 module we have called Art Everywhere. A module to us is equivalent to a unit to a lot of people, so a module is equal to 3 weeks of instruction. In my plan, I've stretched it to be 5 weeks of instruction, and the main change I have made has been adding a very robust, more personalized online version and activity to this module. So, because we submit to different states, we have to ensure that we have competency based education embedded into our resources because we have a lot of standards requirements to meet, and a lot of districts require that. But with my new blended learning model, I've added an outcomes based portion by having students create their own e-portfolio that will then follow them throughout their entire education. And in my new blended learning course, our current Module 5, Art Everywhere, will become Module 1. And it's where students focus on an essential question called that asks, how do people express themselves and why that is important. And in this module, while they use the texts that we have embedded in it, they build out their About Me page to go on their portfolio. So as you can see in my 3-column table, this built out the entire module of instruction, and each of my learning goals centers on a different week of instruction. It includes my assessment activities. I have both formative and summative assessments. Students are consistently posting to their blog about the text they're reading or the vocabulary they interacted with or the video they just watched. And then they're also engaging with knowledge maps, or they are presenting another part of their About Me page. So in one section, I have them creating a video or a podcast presentation to go on their About Me page. I have them creating a static visual to go along with a selection about photos. And at the very end, the last week is where they present their final About Me page presentation. And so that's where the outcomes-based education comes in, because they are presenting something that will follow them. There is an actual project built into this. My understanding by design template broke that down on a more granular level, and I'll be using the one I created for what will be my week 4 to build out my weeks 1, 2, 3, and 5. So this will be a valuable resource for me moving forward as a way to build out my lesson plans. I like to think of my 3-column table as a large program scope and sequence, and this understanding by design template as my module scope and sequence, which I also developed a scope and sequence to break down how many small group, independent work, and whole group work I have, and to make sure I have consistency across our strands. So we have reading strands, vocabulary strands, research and media literacy, and communication strands embedded into our program. And in order to meet state requirements, I have to make sure that I cover all of those things equitably. So this will also be another valuable resource I use as I continue to build out my program. I built my scope and sequence on the existing grade 4 scope and sequence. So when I'm finished building out what will be my module 1, this will be where I go to restart this process again to build out the other modules we have on our course. We have HMH to Reading has 12 modules or 10 modules as it exists today. The last 2 modules are basically genre study, so there are 12, but 10 focus on reading. And those will be the basis of the other parts of the course I continue to build. As you can see here in my UBD template, I also listed Common Core standards. Because we present and our products are present in so many different states, we have to make sure we meet as many standards as possible. And the most common one is the Common Core. I have made a note that these standards can be changed or adjusted based on whatever market we are selling to. But it's important to note that I'll be building my course based on Common Core standards. The idea behind my blended learning course is that it will be student centered. The students will be doing the vast majority of the work, and the teachers will be more of a facilitator and a mentor as they work through this material. A lot of my activities involve the teachers leading a discussion and the students then talking with other students in a small group setting about whatever text they just read or whatever research they just did. This all relies again on the assumption that they do have access to technology and a device, definitely at home or at school, but at home would be great also. But of course, all of this is dependent on the fact that they do have access to a device in the classroom. For the assessment for as and of learning piece, that's where the ePortfolio comes in. The very last assignment I have students do for this particular module, which is not in my UBD template, but it will be the last assignment in week 5, will be to post their completed All About Me page on their ePortfolio and then post a reflection post where they talk about how the texts that they read or the videos that they viewed in this particular module helped them create an engaging and personal About Me page. And so that will be a post on their blog. And all of the writing summative assessments that they do as they read will also be posts on their blog. And at the end of the year, when I write my last module of instruction, the goal is to have them revisit their reflections and reflect on their reflections and really get at that deeper learning of how living and doing the activities that they're learning about helped them be better learners. So these are all of the resources that I plan to use to build out my blended learning course. I've posted them in a Google Drive. Um, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes, and I'm excited to build out this course.